Oh yeah, the weight of time indeed, baby. Weight of time is about 15 pounds on each arm, which is really just laughable to declare in public. And yet here we are. We'll just wait this one out for a minute. This is not proper form, actually. This might even be dangerous. What am I doing? Anyway, Kubera is a really good webtoon. We don't talk about it nearly enough. It's not nearly popular enough, but I'm glad its fans are so vocal and so passionate and just so eager to get the word out about this phenomenal webtoon. It's really, I mean, don't tell any Kubera fans I said this, but it might even really be the only one like worth standing on the same platform as Tower of God. It might even be better than Solo Leveling. Honestly, that might even be the truth. That might even be the truth. I'm putting these weights down. Also very unfortunate about the Solo Leveling artist apparently passing away. I haven't really seen much about it. I don't know like how confirmed that is, but that's very sad. I haven't really read Solo Leveling or anything, but that art is legendary, and he's a human being. So very sad that they passed away. But yeah, Kubera is so good. I really don't think I've talked a lot about Kubera. So before we get into the discussion of the weight of time, which I really just binged like today, like just now. Before we really get into it, just to kind of put it out there, I've been reading Kubera for about probably 3.5 years. I've known about it, or when I started reading it probably like 3.5 years ago. I remember it was like finals week in college, and I always distract myself and procrastinate on studying and stuff. So I found Kubera one week, and I just couldn't put it down. I literally just couldn't put it down. It is so good. People complain about the art, like in the beginning. First of all, I actually think the art peaks. Like, I think the art is better in season 2 than it is now. But more importantly, like I did not have a big problem with the art in season 1. There was like one panel that I thought was pretty like funny. It made Lise look like she was missing a leg, but it was always an engaging read for me. I think on rereads there are some arcs in the very beginning that feel a little slow just because I've like been through them so many times before, but it's really just a completely enthralling adventure through and through. It's many things. It definitely, I think in the prologue it says it like spans genres. I think that's true, but above all, I'd classify it as a mystery. I think it's really cool as you start from this very isolated personal perspective with Lise, who is a masterclass and even underrated protagonist. I think Lise is a truly incredible main character. Like there are other incredible main characters. Like, you have, and I don't know if people will agree with this or not, but whatever. Edward Elric, Natsuki Subaru or whatever. You get these like really good protagonists. Lise deserves to be right up there with them. Like Lise deserves maybe even higher. Lise is really one of the greatest protagonists I've ever read. And I actually don't think she gets enough appreciation. I see so little talk about like how amazing she is, but her journey of slowly becoming more and more independent, more enlightened, more abused, more distraught, more disillusioned, and more and less determined along the way. I would say it's a truly harrowing journey to read through. And I really just can't get enough of watching her like struggle to continue on. It's an exercise in suffering, in a way, but it's truly fulfilling to read. My favorite characters are and this is phenomenal. Like when you have like main characters that are your favorite characters, it's always really cool in a story when it actually like comes out as being that good. Um, I think my favorite characters are in this order: Asha, Ron, and Lise. Those three they're on another level for me. Asha especially. Asha's like a greatest of all time, like anything ever character for me. Like Asha, oh, you can't, hey, get out of here. Get out of here. Get out of here. He hasn't read The Weight of Time. This is The Weight of Time. He hasn't read it. He's in the middle of separation. He hasn't even read Golden Knight 2. What a loser. Oh, man. I remember reading Golden Knight 2. I was so happy when that was coming out. Oh, my God. We had Lise again. Oh, we had Asha. It was so good. I swear. And you know, here's the one thing. Here's the one thing. Curry has, like, my utmost respect because you get through season 2. I didn't really like Asha that much season 1. And I didn't really like Asha that much in season 1. And a lot of season 2. And then I got to the end of season 2 and suddenly everything made sense to me. Just everything about Asha made sense. Everything clicked. Asha just instantly became my favorite character after getting to the end of it. After seeing everything that she did, I think Asha's really gonna go down as, I mean, if Kubera ever like gets discovered really and like seriously makes it big, if we finally get that, you know, that proper Dr. Bonehead coverage that we need, I think Asha could go down as like one of the greatest antagonists like ever, like in fiction. I think she deserves that. I've never seen a more driven and respectable war criminal. Not respectable, maybe. Maybe respectable is the wrong word. She's a complete monster. But I think it's amazing how in Golden Knight, it's like we don't see Asha for so long, really. Like, I mean, we see her for like a second in separation. She doesn't really do anything. But we see her in Golden Knight again, where we like actually get like Asha content. And I don't know how it happened. Curry just found a way to make Asha even better. It's like, that's hard to do. That's very difficult. It's very difficult to further Asha's perspective and development in such a way that she is not butchered with new knowledge. She's actually better than she was to begin with. It speaks to how carefully Curry has planned everything out, and how faithfully she's crafted Asha and her commitment to her goals. So yeah, I'm a big Asha fan. I'm definitely up there with such characters as Ananta Sheshinaga and you know, any other person that claims to be an Asha fan. But unfortunately today we don't really get to talk about Asha that much. Instead, we get to talk about Maruna. Now Maruna's had a really interesting journey, and by interesting I mean really, really fucking boring until now, to be honest. I think Maruna was one of my least favorite main characters. I always thought he was cool. You know, I actually thought, when I started Kubera, I thought Maruna was going to be a good guy. I like legit thought he was going to be, because he had like a cool design, and he was red, like heroes are red. So I'm like, oh dude, this guy's going to be sick. No, he's a war criminal. He's horrible. He's a monster. He is literally a monster. But he has one of the coolest designs, so it's always really cool to see him appear. And he always like says badass shit, and he always like does badass shit. But I also found his journey, like his actual progression in most of the story, to be fairly boring. And I see why. I see why, and I think Curry decided to acknowledge I don't want to say flaws at this, like I don't want to say flaws because I believe it's like fully intentional to make him this way. But Maruna was always a follower to me, and it made him really boring in my eyes. Like, he had his, you know, goal to save the clan, but it was very obvious to me that he was really just being strung along by Sagara, and by Ganharva. Yeah, he was just being strung along by the Nastikas, and used by them to pursue their own goals, and by Kubera as well. And so he's just being manipulated this whole time. And even though he has his own goals, he doesn't really get any further. He's really just muscle. He's really just muscle for a lot of them. And so I didn't think he played that substantial a role in the story. And I think the best thing that the Weight of Time does is break Maruna out of that. Now, Season 3 has really always been Maruna's season since the beginning. Like, he has had... like, he has had a steady stream of development since Season 3 began. Like, Gentharva and him have both been humiliated. He's living as a half for the like, he's been living as a half for, like, 7 years. And he's just had to survive for a while. He hasn't really been able to do anything substantial. He's not getting any closer to saving, you know, his clan or anything. His clan is, like, pretty much dead at this point for all he knows. Even now, it's pretty much dead, as of his knowledge in the Weight of Time. All that's left are, like, Akasha and some Fadi for, like, Rakshasas and Nastikas. And Akasha is... I think this is something that was kind of foreshadowed earlier in the season. She's in a bit of a precarious situation. Who knows if that's really her, you know? She could have been Tarkified. She could be, like, you know, Kali-possessed or something. I don't know. Kali's always pulling some shit. I think we get to talk about that in here for the Yuta fight or whatever the heck happened there. But what's really important here is that Maruna finally... I think Maruna really has come this season to understand just how far off from achieving his goals he was. Like, how far off he came from saving the clan. How quickly things have deteriorated in the sewer realm. And he's really gained some perspective. Like, I've always thought it was weird. Like, I get that Suras and humans are different people. I get that Suras, gods, humans, whatever, and primevals even, due to their various, due to the various nature of their lifespans, and whether they're temporary or permanent or rebirthing, it changes their perspective on things. Like, the gods, you know, they have a responsibility to serve the greater universe, so they're not gonna, you know, they're not gonna talk about individual life forms as much. Sewers are all about power, so they're not going to respect anything that's, like, weaker than them. But they can all communicate. They speak the same language. They, like, understand, you know, they all speak English. They all speak Korean. They can write. You know, it's like, there's got to be a way forward. And I think what's amazing here is that Curry finally acknowledges, maybe not acknowledges, but Curry emphasizes that there is a way forward. There was a way forward in the past. And people used to live differently. I'll say humans, gods, suras all classify under the sentient being umbrella term of people. So, like, people could live together to an extent. We have maybe not, well, to a small extent. Like, humans and suras could interact, and they did not immediately kill each other. They didn't immediately kill each other, even though Rakshasas, you know, they're very quick to, you know, kill anything and anyone that moves for the fun of it. You know, because since they're, you know, all about strength and valuing bloodshed anyway. But Maruna slowly over, and it's kind of one of those things where you know that it took Maruna hundreds or even thousands of years maybe to change his way of thinking after prolonged exposure to humanity. But, like, he really does come to strongly empathize with the humans that he previously had no problem killing. And I think that's a really... I think it's a really good direction for him to take. And let me find, like, the good... I don't know, where's like the good chapter for the... Yeah, this is a good panel to have this on. So... And this is like halfway through the arc too, but I think that's the main focus of it. And I'll be honest, actually, I was much happier on the reread here when I was reading weekly. And you should never read weekly for Kubera. That's number one rule of Kubera. Don't read weekly. Binging this, I was much happier because you get to see much better flow in Maruna's progression, and the conflict that surrounds him with the other Suras. Like, honestly, when I was reading this, and I'll say even now, I don't care about Raltera. I know everyone loves Raltera. You know, she's I mean, she's badass. She's like female Maruna, you know. It's kind of the same. And she, you know, she's also bound by her duty. She's bound by her own perspective of, you know, needing to follow what these guys say or they'll beat the shit out of her and kill her and all her siblings. You know, I get it. But I still haven't come to really... I understand Raltara to a decent degree, but I haven't really come to, like, empathize with her the way I've come to empathize with Maruna this arc and respect the... Maybe not empathize, but, like, the way I've come to, like, understand him and see how he has changed and developed over time. To see him slowly get closer and come to care for humans that he spent so much time with. And you can even see him change. It's actually really cool. You can see him changing as he spends more time in a changing world. Like, there's an emphasis in the earlier chapters, actually, on Maruna being really single-minded back here in the sewer realm. He really just wants to, you know, stay back in the past, protect his clanmates, and do stuff, not really caring a lot about the future, since the future he wants is really just right here in the past. But it's really interesting that he also notes that the sewer realm doesn't change. Like, he says that a lot in the middle part of this arc. Like, the sewer realm is, like, unchanging. It's just a purple, reddish wasteland of poison and rocks and high gravity. And he waits, and it's like you see him and Ron's going crazy in the timeless realm, but Maruna's like used to it because he's used to that environment. So as long as he has, like, you know, something around, as long as he has something to, like, think about, or, you know, he has, like, mental processes that he can do to, like, make it easier on him, he's gonna be okay. But as he stays in the human realm, he notes that it changes a lot. Like, he sees, sees, you know, form and recede and stuff. He sees the landscape change, and he sees humans develop, and he finds it harder and harder to stay away from them. He gets bored, which is a really interesting observation. Like, he goes to his, like, perch for the third time to wait for Ron, and he's like, I'm bored. You know, fuck it. You know, Ron, he can look for me this time. Unfortunately, Ron washes up, you know, about a million billion years in the past, but, you know, whatever. And so Maruna literally gets to play a part in the development of ancient humanity as he's, like, teaching them math. He helps develop a planet. He teaches them math. He teaches them, like, how the world works. And so he really gets involved in this history. Like, it's like people, I guess people kind of criticize him for his decisions, like not really. I wouldn't say they really criticize, but, like, they kind of, like, make fun of him. It's like, oh, like, you're so close to the humans now, Maruna. They're like, oh, you should have just stayed separated. Oh, you don't really care about them. But, like, he literally, like, helped evolve them. He helped grow their civilization. And so I can understand how he's become more attached to ancient humanity, and then by extension, modern humanity. So it's really cool to see. It's really cool to see, like, that develop, like, the various stages of, like, him protecting them one after the other, after, like, dealing with Ron, and seeing, you know, how they live, even feeling inferior a little bit to them, and, like, and how they live, and eventually, like, getting cozier and cozier with them until he starts finding ways to repay the kindness that he was afraid to repay earlier. And then when push comes to shove and he's actually forced to make a decision between his you know, the humans and his clan, you know, he actually, I mean, he's trying to make it work out, but in whatever he chooses, he's still trying to keep himself tied to the humans, to keep them from going extinct, or to keep the planet from being destroyed. So it really does show how far he's come. Because, like, the Maruna on Willarv in N5 or not N5, in N16 or N23, he never would have made that decision. And you can totally see how he's changed over the centuries that have led him to this point. And Curry has just done such a good job giving him that genuine development and change of mindset. And that's to say nothing of, like, the other relationships that he's kind of formed and started the foundation of, like, with Manaka with Gandharva, with who Shuri, I guess a little bit. Oh my god! And can we please just appreciate for a second, little Tasha? I know, like, Shuri, you know, whatever. I don't care about Shuri. Little Tasha is phenomenal. I love that. I can't get enough of that. She's so cute. She's so cute. She's like a little munchkin. She's adorable. I just want to, like, it's like having like a little puppy. Look at that big tail too. Oh my, it's like a little. Oh my god, she looks like the fox girl from Sengoku Yoko. That's what it is. And I like the cute little hat that she has too. What a cool little Sura. What a cool Sura. I wonder if it's actually interesting to me how ancient these guys may or may not be as well. Actually, I have no idea how ancient they are. I kind of forget when this was. But this is still. Oh wait, no, Yaksha's still. Okay, this is pretty old. It's pretty old. But yeah, she is, I guess, a relatively old Sura. But yeah, I really like I really like the little cameos that everyone has here, and I think it's easy to read this like week by week and think, okay, another cameo, another cameo, another cameo. I know these guys are like seeing each other in the past. You know, how does this actually come together? Why does it matter that I'm looking at Brilith right now for the fucking 15th time in her 15th lifespan? You know, like where is this? Where do I need to go? Like, this is, like, wow, what a crazy reveal. This is Brilith? Oh my god, wow. I don't care. I don't care. I actually would have, you know, I'll put it out there. I might even have liked this if it wasn't Brilith. I feel like Brilith tends to steal the plot. I feel like everything ties back to Brilith somehow, and I've never really been that invested in Brilith or her journey. I think she has a lot of strong points, but Brilith and Agni tend to steal the plot, and I kind of wish we would just be able to follow, you know, what Maruna does or what Asha does. But I guess the Brilith origin story is okay, and I actually do think it's cool. I do think it's cool how Brilith and Maruna are now tied together due to the especially like Awakened Brilith, I should say, due to their shared history, due to like her remembering Maruna saving him, and due to Brahma kind of poisoning Brilith's mind and twisting her like that. I mean, Brahma really did a number on these people. Brahma's really twisting, and I don't even get it. But she's like twisted Brilith in her moment of death to make her remember this grudge and plant distrust and malice in her heart. It's really interesting that Brahma would go against her own creations like this, and I feel like there's either going to be something down the line, or there's something down the line like that's written already, something to be revealed later in the story, or something that I've maybe missed or misinterpreted or just kind of forgot about as to why Brahma really wants to kill these guys. Because I know they said like the ancient. I think it's been said at some point that they want to get rid of the ancient humans because they're kind of flawed in that over time they become twisted, their souls become full of regret and malice, and they're fucking up the universe. Like, their souls have to be destroyed. They literally have to be blotched out of existence. And it seems to me here Brahma says, and you know what, let me take a look at I was thinking maybe I misinterpreted it and this was all Kali, but the what was I going to say? It's weird to me that they treat it like humans were always going to end up being twisted like this. And that may be true. But it seems like Brahma's actively twisting them. And she even like wants them to fight back more. And so I'm wondering, why would you sabotage? Like, if you want to kill them, if you want to get rid of them because of this flaw, well, even then, she says their benevolence was the fatal flaw. Is it just that the benevolence allowed them to become twisted as they were taken advantage of? But I feel like I'm missing something. Because I feel like Brahma has the means to prevent this. Maybe not the means to prevent it, but I feel like Brahma shouldn't actively be contributing to their malice. Because, like, who knows what kind of damage can come from that. So Brahma's someone that's really hard to understand here. This actually really sours my image of Brahma. I think before this, I had the image that Brahma was actually, like, pretty wise. And I mean, like, Brahma's full of wisdom, you know, no matter how full of malice she is, or regret, or whatever. But I think this really, like, sours my image of her being benevolent. Like, why... You know, why go out of your way to be mean? That's my question. The other thing that was interesting... Where is this? I want to see. There was a quote in this chapter that I want to find. Where is it? Here it is. You abandon the privilege of the victors and threw yourselves into the universe of the losers. That's an interesting quote to me as well. What's up, Sagittarius Star? What's going on? We're discussing Kubera. That's actually an interesting... I'm doing good. But, how are you? But that was an interesting quote to me. Because I'm wondering... Is there another universe? I think in Kubera... We've only really talked about... And, you know, I'll give you this fun fact. I'm also a Sagittarius, truth be told. But I think we've only understood other universes as possibilities. Like, possibilities born from, like a different decision being made or someone key being in a different timeline. And honestly, I think the stuff we get here with Shuri... The stuff we get here with Shuri is also... Oh, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. We do a lot of... By the way, we do a lot of... Just to let you know, we do a lot of, like, webtoon discussion. Kubera is a pretty rare one here, but I love Kubera. We mainly talk about Tower of God and another one called I Love You that we do an active read-through of every Friday. Or Sunday sometimes. And then once Xenoblade comes out, we'll be streaming Xenoblade here as well. But back to Kubera here, and this is just such a heartbreaking panel. Like, this woman had nothing but benevolence in her, in all of her lives. She was so nice and she was so good. Ooh, let me give you the rundown of Kubera real quick. So Kubera is like the best thing since sliced bread. Kubera is the story about a girl who lives in isolated... Kubera has a million points of view, but it's the story about a girl who lives in an isolated village. And I agree with you there. You know what? I actually have, like, a written description of Kubera. Let me pull it up. Let's see. I think it'll be better than whatever I come up with on the fly. All right, Here we go. Kubera is a mystery/romance about a girl whose village is destroyed, who goes on a journey to get revenge and is sucked into a war between gods and demons, uncovering a history of deceit, conspiracy, and the true nature of the universe along the way. It has much spectacle, but the focus is on the dialogue rather than combat. The world building is absolutely incredible. It's very philosophical. Everyone suffers all the time, and it has animorphs. It's really everything you could ever ask for in a comic of this fashion. And the art's also pretty good too. The art can be really, really cool sometimes. I actually really like this panel that the arc that I'm talking about ends on. Now, I will say, if you get interested in Kubera, then once this stream ends, do your best to forget everything that you have seen today, because this is like late in the game. This is some of the more recent stuff. This probably came out like a year and a half ago, maybe. This arc. But Kubera is like a 10-year-old webtoon, so this is like chapter 400 and something, maybe even 500. and there a lot's happened. The alert's the main wait, my alert is the main character of a Canvas webtoon. Oh yeah, yeah, Unordinary. So one of the things, you know, let me show you the background that I used to use sometimes. Fridays. So now I do a thing called I Love You Fridays, but every Friday, yeah, we go on webtoons. I'm using Mangadex for this one, because Mangadex has a better translation. Since this is Korean, so Line does not really do a good job of it. But we have like more dedicated translators that post their stuff on Mangadex. So like once past a certain arc, it's better to go on Mangadex for it. But what was I gonna say? Yeah, so like we used to do for Unordinary. We did like a full read through every Friday on here for Unordinary. We got through like 10-15 chapters every week, and we played a drinking game with it. So it was like every time John like the main character disrespects women or something, we drink, or you know, every time like someone beats someone up for no reason, we drink, something like that. And then after that, we did that. Then we did one called Lore Olympus. And then we did Dr. Frost, which was another Korean one. Now we're doing I Love You. I enjoy webtoons enough. I think the bar is kind of low a lot of the time. But the ones that I find, I end up really the ones that I discover, I end up really liking. The only webtoons I've seen that I really haven't liked, honestly, were Lore Olympus and one called Soul Cartel. You're doing your own? That's awesome. That's really cool, actually. I'm actually working on I'm kind of working on one as well. I only do the writing though. I don't do any of the art. But that's cool. What's your project about? This is such good art. There's other really good art too. Let me scroll down real quick. Let me actually go to this one. I really like this panel of Iran as well. This guy's like one of my favorite characters too. Both of these guys are like two of my favorite characters. This arc made the guy on the right one of my favorites. He is frozen in ice in this panel. He was attacked. But yeah, as you're explaining that, just to talk a little bit more about what's going on in the Weight of Time. So for Brahma right here to really just actively kill all of her own creations and even want them to fight and kind of ruin themselves, it's really sad to me, and it makes me lose a lot of faith in her as someone who was really out there for balance. But you know, I guess she's caught up in her own selfish insecurities as well. Oh, I mean, I don't know. I think anyone starting out, it's always going to be difficult. And like, I take it from me, man. Art is hard. I used to doodle like all the time, but I mean, I have a paper of doodles like literally right here in front of me. But like, I doodle all the time. But to actually draw, to actually like make art in any capacity that like you can be satisfied with, it's really hard to get to that point. And it really just takes. I mean, this is true for pretty much anything. But it really takes like just a lot of time and practice. It's the same with writing, it's the same with music, etc. Who knows how many years it'll take before I finally learn how to play the guitar. But I mean, and honestly, I mean, like the art here, I mean, 500 chapters ago, Kubera looked very, very different. Kubera was not nearly as refined as it was now too. Like this I mean, the art we're seeing now took 10 years to develop into what it is. Like, this stuff, and this isn't peak art by any means. Like, if you look at Solo Leveling, if you look at Dr. Frost, like, if I go to Chapter 1, like, oh my god, look at this. Look at this stuff. This is so different. It's so different. I mean, it's still good. I still think it's good. But, like, it's just completely changed from what it is now. Like, wow, look at that. I mean, it's still great, but oh man, it's different. It's just completely different. It's cool stuff. It hurts so much, bro. I miss her so much. Oh my god, actually I should replace the text with that. But yeah, so like the main takeaway for this arc is just how much Maruna's perspective changes, and how much he develops. How much he develops and like learns to kind of believe, maybe not believe in others more, but like have more empathy for others. And even it's like everyone's like rooting for him too. Like every Gnostica that sees him like roots for him. They're like, Maruna, like have more empathy for others. It's like they've seen what he's done in the future. It's like they've seen what he's done in the future, and they just know. It's like, I hope you have like this respect for every life form, and not just the one guy you went on a timeless adventure with. I think there's a lot more to talk about in this arc. There's stuff like the Asha sighting, and actually, you know what? I think that might be. That might be a good thing to end on. I think that's going to be the last topic for today, is going to be the Asha confrontation. I mean, this arc is chock full of content, and I don't truly know. Oh gosh. It's probably a couple before. Oh yeah, okay. We can go to 170 then. If we go back to Ron, and we'll talk about Ron more when we get to the next arc discussion, the other side of the story. And yeah, mangakas are, I mean, they're honestly, mangakas even, I would argue even more so than webtoon artists. Those guys are just like trained to perfection. I think they follow an even more intense schedule. Now, if we look at this part between Ron and Asha right here, my two favorite characters. So sad to see them fighting like this. Where is... No, we have to go up again. It's really interesting here, because this is, again, as we've talked about, this is an arc where Maruna's development takes center stage, and a very relevant conversation to him is held between Asha and Ron, where Maruna doesn't even listen. He doesn't even bother heeding her words, because to him, she's just an enemy who might have some information, but is just talking about sentimental things. And Asha's someone who really hides her sentimentality, who like buries her emotions beyond, just tons and tons and tons of weighty objectives and a very grand, greater purpose. And it's really interesting. It's really interesting to see her talk to Ron about not having true empathy for people, and modern humanity as a whole having true empathy for people, because like she talks about how like only to ancient humans was another person's struggle really that first person's own. Like in the modern humanity in this world, they commiserate with each other, but they don't really internalize another struggle into themselves. There's no true sympathy to take the weight of another and then help them out. And then it's Maruna who sees how that works in person, but he wasn't there for that, or not that he wasn't there for that discussion, but he wasn't listening to this discussion. He wasn't listening to the true nature of ancient humans before he got to live it for himself. And Ron, interestingly enough, has like already changed, and he's gotten a little more unhinged. He's gotten a little, maybe even less empathetic, and a little more selfish and focused on himself and his goals. And that's kind of how that's part of how he ends up confronting Maruna at points when he's in the sewer realm. That's why he freezes Maruna in ice right here, even though they're supposed to be friends, because he just wants to get back to his family and everything that much. And so it's really cool to see Ron have that conversation, but not live it the way Maruna. It's like Ron has that conversation, and then Maruna lives it. And I'm also really interested later down the line to see how. I'm really interested later down the line to see how Ron actually internalizes that information and if he does interact with Asha again, if that'll come into play. Like, because he's probably, I mean, based on this last panel when he wakes up. Oh, this is the wrong chapter. Isn't that fun? But like when he wakes up, yeah, a thousand years later, like ancient humanity is still very advanced. They're still very advanced. One planet was destroyed, but the civilization is still thriving. I want to see how this experience will change him if he develops like true empathy, or like the Asha expectation of empathy. If he ends up being able to commiserate with her, frankly, I don't think that's gonna happen. I don't think Ron has changed. Based on what we saw in Words That Never Reached You, I mean, maybe that's what the arc was called. I guess, or maybe that's part of the reason for the arc. Maybe it's Words That Never Reached Ron. I don't know. Yeah, the visual. I mean, I'll level with you. Sometimes Kubera does not impress me visually, but it's really. I mean, it's really unique. In any case, but this, like the stuff in this arc especially, I think is really good. You even get like some Minecraft biomes. Like if we scroll back up, where is? I guess it's really more of like last chapter. But we saw like those forests last chapter. We get like Minecraft biomes. It's pretty funny. Yeah, we get like stuff like this. It is really cool stuff. It's a really cool like fantasy environment. Like humans, like Kubera is a world where humans live in like a pseudo-modern environment, but like the world is like really changed due to like the world's like much different from ours due to environmental factors and like the other forms of life that are there, like besides animals. So it's like really cool. So like there's a really cool mix between like modern technology and magic. And it's not like that like steampunk like Final Fantasy VI like magic tech either. It's like it's a breed all on its own. It's actually something I vastly prefer to it. You see like culture in every city. You see like how magic mixes with that culture. It's really cool. But yeah, so that I guess to wrap this end of it up, this conversation that Asha and Ron have about Ron not really being able to empathize with and some of the more representational panels in this comic are like truly amazing. But like Ron not being able to empathize with like even Lee's here, who's like supposed to be his like kind of best friend, little sister. Asha, who he was friends with even though they butt heads. And then, I mean, they're no longer friends. We'll see if his perspective changes, and he who was like very much the opposite of Asha in season 2 as they were adventuring together. We'll see if he can actually get closer to her and come to understand her any more than he does. So that'll be interesting to see in the future. I think when we see this era, the modern ancient humanity that we see here with these skyscrapers, with this like this very very modern society, futuristic even. I think it'll be really cool to see Ron experience more of that, and we'll see how he deals with ancient humans and these Gnostikas in front of him. And Gnostikas are like, just for some context, these guys are like some of the most powerful beings in the universe. Like these guys can all destroy planets with like the flick of a wrist. Not even that, like the flick of a pinky. Probably this guy, probably her, probably I don't know who he is. But it's really cool. It's really cool, and I'm really excited to binge the next arc. And it's like I've read these, like I've looked at these week to week, but to binge these is just a completely different experience. Everything just comes together in a completely different way. And I'm also excited, I think when this current saga, like this current batch of arcs is over, which it's not yet, I'm really excited to do a full reread of this entire series, because you can always, like every arc, something is dropped, and it makes you want to go back and look for new information, or like look for old information and see if it comes together in a new way. like a look that somebody gives earlier could mean something completely different after a future arc, or like somebody gives like a hint and it's like you don't know what it means until 300 chapters later. Sometimes that can be a bit daunting, but really when you're going through it and like you figure out, oh my god, that's what it means, like this series just begs you to reread it. There's always something new that can be gained every time. It's like the world is really living and breathing in this, and that's why I love Kubera. It's such a cool story. It has such well thought out characters with ever changing and developing motivations, and I'm really excited to get to the next arc. I think that'll do it for tonight. I think we can have a shorter discussion tonight. So thanks a lot for watching. Thanks a lot for the follow, Sagittarius. I'll try to do a little more Kubera within the next couple of days, but you know, hopefully I see you for I Love You Fridays if that's another webtoon you're interested in. And otherwise, I'm excited to play Xenoblade 3 with everyone. So have a good night, guys.